All right, welcome back, YouTube. So instead of doing a big, giant review of all the new cards that are coming out in Whizbang's workshop, we're just going to do a tier list over all legendaries because that's what's going to be more fun thing to do, right? That's what everyone looks forward to, is all the legendaries as a set. So we're gonna kind of take a look at all of them, go in order of how it is on the Hearthstone library, and give them a rating. S being probably played in every single deck, being the best. F being probably not gonna be very playable, and also probably a little twist of my own opinion on where it probably is going to end up as well. We did break 500 subscribers, so we do now have memberships for the YouTube channel now, which is really exciting, as well as a Discord that I made a couple days ago. So that'll all be in the description. Be sure to check that out. But let's go ahead and get into this. We got our very first card here. We got Dr. Stitch Ando, which I think this card's pretty cool. With the 6 mana, 6/4 undead. Battlecry, discover a 5/3 and 1 cost minion to stitch to this. Death Rattle, summon the 5 cost minion, and so on. So this card is pretty slow, at a first glance, and it is nice that it is not doesn't have runes attached to it, so we played any Death Knight deck, which I think is very good. And then undead tribe as well makes it to where it's discoverable, which is really great as well. Really looking at kind of good. The good thing about this, it's a very sticky minion. Granted, you are going to be getting a 5, a 3, and a 1 cost, so the stats are probably going to go down. Well, they will. But if you hit any really nice death rattle effects, any of the ones that are 5, 3, or 1, it's going to be of some value. So I think that's already a pretty solid thing for it. It's also a 6/4, so it's kind of hard to remove in general. And I think Death Knight's going to like this quite a bit, more particularly in probably some type of control style deck. I don't really see it being played in it might fit into Rainbow, but aside from that, Triple Blood might make a little bit more sense. Triple Unholy doesn't make sense. Triple Frost doesn't make very much sense either. It's probably going to be in those weird little double runed lists that are kind of odd that you might see here and there. It's probably where it's going to fit into. Okay, up next we got the headless, or wait, that's not what I wanted. Why did it go out of order? So normally I just go right here. There we go. So we got the Headless Horseman right here. 6 mana, Blood and Unholy Rune. Battlecry, destroy the enemy minion with the most attack. Shuffle my head into your deck. You must get it back. So the head is that, and basically when you draw the head, it gets its second part of its ability, or its hero power. It's normally just 2 mana, deal 3. But when you find the head, it then allows you to discover an undead to serve as your pawn. That's a pretty slow effect. For 2 mana, it's not bad because you discover any undead, so you can discover some of the big stuff. If you're playing Rainbow, you could get more Stitch Giants that already cost 0. So there's some pretty big value stuff that will make this card pretty interesting to play. I don't like the effect where it's just 1 minion. I wish it kind of hit everything on the opponent's board, kind of like what Anduin did way back when for 8 mana. But aside from that, I mean, the head might take a little while to find, but there is some other tech cards you could add to it, which will not make it too bad. I do hate that it's not runeless or whatever. So it's limited to what could be played or what decks it could be added to. And I think that's kind of what's gonna make the card a little bit worse. But I definitely do think this is probably a C or a B tier. I do think it's probably gonna get played over Dr. Stitch though, just because it's the very first Death Knight hero, and that's already doing lots for it too. Okay, let's see what's the next one here. We got Kadar, or Puzzle Master Kadar. It's a 6 mana 5/5. Battlecry, equip a 0/6 Whizball that casts helpful mage spells. And it's just the basic mage spells here. So it's a little bit more inclined to cast spells that are a little bit more helpful. But it's not very smart, from what people have been saying from the devs and whatnot, that it's, it might not cast a spell that's completely necessary. And so that's why it's going to, be effect, or you have to take that effect in consideration. But the fact that you're getting 6 spells for 6 mana across 6 turns is really huge, especially for mage. Now I believe how it says at the end of your turn, cast a helpful mage. So I'm not really sure if it kind of plays off of the other spell that's down here, the 10 mana spell. But if it does that, these two are going to be paired up pretty well. But I think this is probably a C or B tier as well. I don't think it's overly broken, and I think mage will. I feel like any mage list could probably find a spot for it to fit into. But aside from that, it's not too bad. I'd say it's B tier. Whizbang. Okay, so we got a 4 mana 4/5 at the start of the game. You get one of Whizbang's experimental deck, which from what I understand, that's going to be along the lines of where you essentially get a random, not a random deck, but one of the deck recipe classes, one of those things that you get at the very beginning. and you just fill your deck with random stuff and you include Whizbang and it'll be one of those decks. The only problem with it is it's very RNG related. So you might get a deck that's not very good against another opponent, or you might get, one of the more fun or stronger decks. It's still an S tier card because it's purely meme, and whoever plays it is probably playing it just to have fun, and I think that's, a great card to have in the game. Okay, Toy Captain Tarim is awesome. So it's a 5-mana 3/7, miniaturized, taunt, battlecry, setting minions, attack and health to this minions. This card's insane. For 5 mana, you get a 3/7 taunt. That's big stats really early on, and the fact that you get the miniaturized version, you get a 1/1, you could set opponent's minion, stats to 1/1. You could really slow them down even more after already playing a 3/7, with taunt. It's really impactful, especially for 5 mana. Paladins definitely need this up. I think this is my first actually S tier card, not aside from Whizbang, I love the effect of it, and it's definitely going to see playing every single Paladin list for sure. Okay, up next is Ziliax Deluxe 3000. So it has all these modules. You get to build your own one. You can build the normal Ziliax, or you can build, a big 9-cost one that you get like a 6/5 Divine Shield Taunt Rush, and you get to sum up a copy of it. There's a bunch of other little things you can do with it. I do like that it's customizable, so you can kind of fit it more towards the gear of your deck. And just that flexibility already puts this card up to an S tier. This card will probably be played in every single deck if I had to make a guess, and I think everyone's going to really enjoy it. They better give the diamond out for free, because if you bought or pre-purchased the Titans pack or bundle, the big bundle, you got the diamond Ziliax, but they're rotating it out, which doesn't make sense to me if they would, do that 2 seasons or, 2 expansions ago. Kind of odd to me. So they better give this out for free at least. Up next is Inventure Boom, 8 mana 7/7, Battlecry, resurrect 2 friendly mechs that cost 5 or more. They immediately attack random enemies, not minions. Okay, so this also hits to face, which is really big. So this also could be paired with Ziliax, which already makes this card insanely better. There's also some other cards that came in Warrior, like there's a big, I think it's a 6/4/8 taunt with the death rattle, deal 8 damage randomly split amongst all enemies. I always want to say enemy minions because I'm just so used to that text. And I think just that card alone will be enough, because you summon both of those, that's 16 damage spread across on top of a, that 4 or 6 attack stat that it has. I don't remember if it's 4 or 6 attack, but just those 2 cards alone on top of Ziliax and some other really useful mechs, I think this card's gonna be very playable. I don't think a mech warrior is really going to come around, but I definitely do see this kind of fitting into a control style list, or even a small little tech into an Odin warrior, or maybe even a Highlander warrior. Excuse me. I think it'll be really solid, and I'm really excited to try it out. So definitely A tier there. Up next, Chlorfuro the Artist. So we've already gotten this card in the set. It's 8 mana 6/5, Elemental, draw a minion, transform all other friendly minions into copies of it. I did have a lot of success with this early on, especially with Druid, with Ragnaros, and the Stonebound General. It's a really cool deck, and I actually took it up to high diamond, and I played it in legend rank, and it was pretty consistent up there actually. But I think in comparison to everything else, I think right now with the meta, this is probably like a B or A card, because it's very washed. Like sometimes you capitalize off it, sometimes you don't. But against some decks can't even deal with it. The classes that can deal with it still don't even have a high win rate against the list. But when all these cards come out, this card is probably not going to see any play. I'm going to put it down to C tier because it's still possible. It's a really fun card to use, but it's not as consistent as it is as of right now. Okay, so up next we got... Okay, we'll just jump right here. Himmet Foam Marksman, 5 mana 3/6. After a friendly minion dies, get a random legendary beast from the past. It costs 2 less. Now, I'm kind of split between this card because it is kind of expensive for what Hunter wants to do, and everything that we've seen so far kind of is pushing Hunter more towards a aggro mid-range type style and not more of a longevity type deck. Now they could use that as a reload, but I think for 5 mana and the stats that you're getting for it, just to get some other random legendaries from the past, which, I don't even remember all the legendaries from the past, specifically the ones that are beast, and whether or not you're actually gonna gain a lot of value, or if you're just going to get a lot of duds. I think the fact that, that's not guaranteed with specific, beasts and whatnot, kind of puts it down at a lower tier in my opinion. And I don't really see Hunter using it right out the gate. It might see a bit more play when the mini set hits, and there might be a little bit more support for this card, but I don't think this is all that great right out the gate. Okay, up next, the Galactic Projection Orb, 10 mana arcane spell, so that's big. It's arcane, so it's discoverable, right? Recast a random spell of each cost if you've casted this game, targets enemies if possible. I've already had some questions about it when I was streaming, whether or not it recast cards that were like cheaper. It cast original cost of whatever that spell was. So if you casted like a 3 mana Blizzard, it's going to cast a 6 mana Blizzard, not a 3 cost spell or whatever. But this is a fun card. I think Mage will probably use it quite a bit. I do think it's B tier. I actually think it's probably a little bit better than Kadar. just because there's so much RNG and value, just all put into one card. And the fact that it's arcane, so you get multiple throughout a game. It's not limited to once per game like some of the other new cards we're gonna look at. I think it's really solid, and I think Mage will probably play it either way. Okay, up next, Timewinder Zarim, or Zarimimi, I don't know how to pronounce it. 5 mana, 4/6 dragon. Battlecry once per game. If you summon 5 other dragons, take an extra turn. This is gonna be really easy for priests to do, especially with another dragon that they got. They're gonna be summoning up dragons pretty easily with just like 2 or 3 cards. And the fact that you get to take an extra turn, that's probably gonna be the turn that you win anyhow. You're able to capitalize on a lot of stuff, and it's for 5 mana too. So not only can you just play this, but you could also play some other stuff with it. It's not like a 9 mana minion or anything like that. So you're able to play it, do some more, and then take another turn and do more. This is a really broken legendary, and Mage is really going to be happy for this card. Or did I say Mage? I mean Priest. This is an S tier card, and I probably put it up. Well, actually, no, Zilax is probably a bit better. Just because this is limited to Priest, and this could be played in any single class, or in every class. Really, really good legendary. Up next is Raza the Resealed. It's a 5 mana 5/5. Battlecry for the rest of the game. Your hero power refreshes whenever you play a card. This card's going to be busted. The signature for this card also is amazing. I hope I get it in my bundle. There's already a new Priest Minions coming out. It costs 3 mana. Makes your hero power cost 0. And there's also a lot of really easy ways to just refresh your mana with Funnel Cake. And a lot of ways to just cheat out, stuff like that. And, you know, with the Bishop being in the metagame as well, you're going to be able to turn your hero power into dark, so you can, you know, kind of go for an OTK. Kind of like how Control Priest was way back in, you know, back in like what, 2015. They're kind of bringing this back, so it's kind of exciting. And it's not limited to a Highlander thing either, so you could have a full-on deck here. I'm actually going to put this above Tarim. I think this is going to be a little bit more consistent than a Dragon Priest, so you could just go on full control with this and just kind of go for an OTK. I feel like that would be a little bit more consistent. Lovely S tier card right there. Up next is Shoplifter Goldbeard. 6 mana 5/5. After you summon a pirate, summon a copy of it that attacks a random enemy, then dies. So this could hit face, which is really cool. I don't like that they're bringing back more pirates, especially after, you know, Second City is going to be rotating out. So they lost all their really strong pirate support, and they're kind of coming in with new stuff that I'm just like, really, they should have done this in like the last 2 sets or something like that. So Pirate Rogue could have actually seen a little bit more play, especially because they decided to buff up some of the pirates like what, 2 patches ago, even though they were rotating out. Thought that was kind of strange. But you know, the fact that it's summoning up a copy of stuff, it kind of limits your board space. It does die at the end, you know, after attack, so you can, you know, kind of continuously do it. Only problem here is it costs 6 mana, so you can't really do a lot with, like, if you have 10 mana, you don't want to be, you know, sitting there with just, you know, this and then like only 4 mana to do other stuff. It's not enough to really like capitalize enough off it, and it's really easy. It's not very sticky. It's not, the minion's not very sticky either. It doesn't have stealth. It doesn't have anything to last an extra turn or whatever. This could easily be dealt with, and I think Rogue is just kind of a meh card, honestly. So where to go? C tier. I don't think this card will really be played. I don't think it deserves F, but it's probably C. They'll probably see some play because the new pirate stuff, I'm sure people will like that, but not all that crazy. Sonya Water Dancer, 4 mana 3/3. After you play a 1-cost card, get a copy of it that costs 0. So with the miniaturized effect, you're going to be able to get, you know, multiples of those that are that cost 0. If you're able to abuse that with Rogue, which I'm not really sure if you'll actually be able to, it's a really good effect because there's a lot of 1-cost cards in Rogue that are going to be, you know, of high value that would not mind getting an extra copy that costs 1, or I mean that costs 0. This is definitely an A tier card, and I could definitely see this being played in any Rogue list just to get more value. And the more value Rogue has, the more, you know, the likelihood they win. Okay, up next is CCG, I think is how you pronounce it. It's a 4 mana 4/3. Death Threat will get 3 random first edition Demon Hunter cards in mint condition, which means basically you get pre-nerfed Demon Hunter day 1 cards, basically. So those 10 cards that came out, you're getting the pre-nerf version of those, and they're all pretty solid. I mean, Demon Hunter was really broken the first week that it came out. They did a hard nerf to the class when that happened. I think this card's pretty cool. I do wish it was a Battlecry effect, so you could actually play those cards right out the gate. This has the risk of being silenced or removed and stuff like that. So the fact that it has a death threat attached to it makes this card a little bit more worse, in my opinion. Definitely a low C. I think it probably gets played over all this here, though, to be honest. Probably in this order here. But, you know, when you do get that value, it's probably going to be pretty impactful. I really don't see this kind of being, you know, played in every single Demon Hunter list. There's not really a game plan for Demon Hunter now, which is kind of unfortunate, especially after the rotation. Probably Highlander Demon Hunter might see a play, and this card might be in there. Up next is, I'm not going to even try and pronounce that. but the Unreleased, whatever that is, 8 mana 12/12 mech demon, dormant for 2 turns. While dormant, deal 3 damage to all enemy at the end of your turn. So this hits the opponent's face as well. Problem with this effect is it's only while it's dormant. So when it comes alive, it's just 8 mana 12/12 that any class could really deal with. Like, this card is not very impactful except for the dormant effect, which I don't know if it's that good enough to be worth, playing. The only thing that might be worth it if you could actually really mana cheat this out on like turn 6 or 7 maybe. That might be impactful enough to add it to a deck or to a specific list maybe. But aside from this card's very, very slow. And I don't really see Demon Hunter using it all that much. Honestly, I feel like this is probably correct here in the C tier. I don't think this is going to be played. Actually, this might be F. The dormant effect is really cool, but like when it wakens, it's only 2 turns of dealing 6 damage. It's not like how I'm going to put an F. I don't think that's going to be too crazy. I might be wrong on that, on all that, but yeah, I don't think it's that crazy. Game Master Nimbusy. So it's a 5 mana 3/6 battlecry, draw a demon, death rattle, swap places with it. So it's like a Kadar, but with a draw engine, but it's limited to demons. It is cool you can draw them out the deck, which means you're kind of thinning out the list a bit. My only problem with it is that the demons aren't very good right now. Like, we are getting back Doomguard. I don't think Void Caller, or not Void Caller, but the old 9 mana 3/9 that sums up 3 Void Callers when it dies. If that comes back, this might be a little bit more viable, but until that happens, like, it's not that great. If it gave you, the demon like a keyword like Hangar does, like Lifesteal, that might actually be a bit bigger, but the card's way too slow. And the fact that it has to be killed off to, get the effect to, swap with it, it could be silenced, it could be removed. I mean, I guarantee you Priest is going to be seeing a lot of play, which means this Warlock, anything Warlock is not really going to see a lot of play either, especially if they want to try out Nimbusy. Nimbusy's not going to be all that impactful. Probably low C. It'll probably see play though, because it is a draw engine, and I'm sure you could play specific demons that you want. And when that happens, you'll get a lot of value from that. Up next is Shutterblock. 6 mana 5/5, miniaturize, battlecry. Your next battlecry triggers 3 times, but can't damage enemy hero. So you can't Aslar with this, which actually Aslar rotates out, I believe, so it's not going to really matter. But I do like that they already you made it to where you can't damage enemy hero, but you can get really impactful battlecries. Which I'll see if Hagatha the Fabled. So, draw 2. I'm going to talk about these 2 together. Battlecry, draw 2 spells, then that cost 5 or more, transform them to 1/1 slimes, and cast the spells. So these are the slimes here. So if you get really impactful spells off of the Fairy Tale slimes here, you could get like double cast with this, or well, not double, but triple cast with this for 1 mana. And if you get the miniaturized version too, you could do like a lot for like 2 or 3 mana, which is actually kind of insane for Shaman. These are both S tier cards in my opinion. Probably in, honestly, probably in this order, because like Shutterblock is going to be insane. Especially with Shaman, all the battle cries that they have are going to be very good. You could pair it with, Ziliax's battle cry, like probably, well, I mean, depending on what you have in your deck, right? And you can pick and choose the battle cries you want. Hagatha, you could limit your deck to specific 5-cost ones that you'd want to pull and put onto the slimes. And you could really shape up a really nice game plan with Shaman, and it's all good in Highlander Shaman, it's all good in Control Shaman, Mid-range Shaman. It's going to be quite a bit. So they're both S tier cards, definitely top tier. Up next is Pipsy Painto. It's a 7 mana 4/4. Death would also make a random Divine Shield, Rush, and Taunt Minion from your deck. For 7 mana, this is really slow. Like Kangar has a Death Rattle, where it sums up something, gives it Lifesteal for 5 mana. Like, this is just slow. And also, it's go through your deck, have any more Divine Shield taunts is just a waste of a minion, doesn't do anything else. Probably one of the worst cards of the set, in my opinion. I would say this is probably an F tier. I think this still has a niche to it, but like this, I don't see this being played at all, especially with what Paladin has in his arsenal right now. This is just not good enough to make the cut. Up next is Alanus, I think is how you pronounce that. It's a 7 mana 6/6, spell damage +1. Your spells get double bonus from spell damage. So there's a lot of spell damage stuff that's coming to Druid, and if you're able to stack it all on one turn, play this Alanus, you could get spell damage up to what, 5, 10, maybe 15, depending on the insane stuff. I haven't really looked at all the cards to try and do all the math, but I definitely see Druid definitely using this. And with the rotation happening, really Dragon Druid is really the only thing that's probably going to be played, because tree and stuff's all rotating out. So it's probably either going to be Spell Damage Druid or Dragon Druid, and Dragon Druid's already good right now, so it's probably going to see a lot of play day 1. But I guarantee you, like a week or 2, or even maybe after the first patch notes, that this card right here will see immediate amount of play, and Druid will probably be at the top tier, up there with Shaman and Priest probably. I'm going to say this is S tier. I do think this is probably here. I think Tarim is a little bit more impactful right out the gate than this card will be. It'll be a little bit more setup and it'll be a little bit slower. Tarim is a little bit better in my opinion. But yeah, that's definitely an S tier minion right there. Very, very solid. Okay, let's see. Up next, we got Skymother Aviana. It's a 6 mana 5/5. Battlecry Shuffle 10 random legendary minions into your deck that cost 1. This is pretty cool. You can get a pretty impactful legendary for 1 mana. And I think Druid's going to really love that, stat cheating. Especially because, all their mana ramp is going to be rotating out, except for, what's in the gift. And then the 6 mana spell they got that refreshes 3 mana crystals. And it's 6 mana. It's not a very expensive card for that effect. And I guarantee you, you play this and you might draw 1 or 2, depending on if your deck has a lot of draw. And those immediate bodies that are going to be dropping down for 1 mana are going to be really impactful. And actually, this card probably seeing some play. I think it's an A tier card. I think this will really change the kind of the playstyle of Druid. This could also be played in Dragon Druid, I could imagine too. And they're going to enjoy that as well. Highlander Druid's probably going to enjoy it too. And any of the new lists that are going to be running that are going to be coming, this will definitely see a lot of play. Up next is Bot Base, 9 mana 3/9. Taunt after this takes damage, get 2 random minis. And the random minis are like the miniaturized cards. So there's a possibility that you could get like Shutterblock's mini from this, or even like Tarim, which of those are really impactful minis. But for 9 mana, and for it to have to take damage and not get cleared from the board without taking damage, like a lot of decks can just remove this without a problem, without you actually getting the effect off. Now there is some support that Warrior's getting that it's going to kind of allow this to, trigger off at least a couple times. But I don't know if the minis are going to be that impactful to revolve your game plan around this. I think this card's very, very slow. I do think that if you could cheat this out or discover it from another means and not actually take up a spot in your deck, it will probably see play in that sense. It'll be a really fun little meme card in that way. But it's definitely F tier. I can see Bot Phase being played over these two though, but probably in that order is what makes sense to me. Yeah, kind of unfortunate because Inventure Boom is really cool. And I mean, you will be able to summon off Inventure Boom, but like that's for it. It's just kind of, it's a little bit slower. We got a 6 mana 3/3 Linashot Manager. Whenever you cast a spell, fill your board with random minions of that cost. It's a cool effect, but it's random minions. It's not guaranteed certain stats. And it is 6 mana. There's not a lot of mana cheating right now in the game. Like you could play this and like, not even, you can't even funnel cake with this. So really you're limited to 4 cost cards, depending on, if you had stuff reduced, maybe if it'll cast that cost, or if it bases off the original cost, not the reduced cost. But I don't know that until we actually have the gameplay. But this card just seems mediocre to me. Not very impactful. I say this is probably a low C tier. We'll probably see play over all this stuff here when this comes out, because I'm sure there'll be some meme decks that are going to be using it. And there's going to be like, someone's going to win quite a few games with it and people are going to want to try it out. So probably low C tier. Up next is Joy Macer Geppetto. It's 8 mana 6/6. Battlecry, get copies of every 1 attack or 1 health minion you've played this game. Which means that if you played a bunch of minis, you can get them all back. If you play, whatever here, like anything that has 1 attack or 1 HP, like there's a lot of minions that are able to do it. There's probably some ways to, reduce the cost, or not the cost, but the stats to it, and you'll get them back. It's a really good card, and I can see it's being played in any of the deck that has the minis in it, and getting more value from those are going to be really, really great, especially with like the dragon one, because there's a dragon that gets miniaturized stuff. So getting more copies with that from there, you're going to get some good stats. And just Shutterblock is just also the prime example there too. Like combining these two with Shaman is going to be insane. Up next is Will of Death. 8 mana shadow spell, destroy your deck in 5 turns, destroy the enemy hero. It's a meme card. I'm sure some people will have some success with it, but this, it's an F tier card. Like, there's going to be times when you win with it. There's going to be times you don't. There's going to be times when you play this way too early and you burn your deck and you're like, that maybe wouldn't have been the best decision. It's kind of mediocre. I'm sure people have a lot of fun with it, and I'm sure it'll be pretty fun, but it's not on par with like what Whizbang. Whizbang still gives you an option to actually have a chance of winning. This kind of just shuts out your win condition by destroying your deck, and then you have to wait 5 turns, which you might not even live 5 turns. So then up next, we got King Plush, 9 mana 6/6 charge. Battlecry, return all minions with less attack than this to their owner's deck. So it's all minions, so it also hits stuff on your board too. So if you have a board developed with high value minions, you can put those back in your deck and get another turn with those minions, which is really cool. And Messenger Buzzard's still in the meta right now. Same thing with the Yelling Yodeler. So you could double trigger those effects and probably get King Crush or King Plush up to, potentially 8, 9, maybe even 10 attack and HP if you're lucky. Which almost guarantees that you're going to be clearing the board no matter what. There's not very many minions with very high attack stats, and so you're almost guaranteed to clear the board, get that damage face on top of, you know, slowing your opponent down and also getting more value with minions you get back. I think this is a lovely card, and I think this will fit really nice in Hunter right now. I say this is probably a high A tier. I actually would probably put it right here. I think this would be a good spot for it. But, you know, this is a pretty fun list, and I do think that this is probably pretty accurate to what we're going to see. With all the usage rates and whatnot, I definitely see all these cards here being played for sure. And I could definitely see some, like a little tech package to some of the decks here. And then, you know, probably played, not played, not played. You know, there's going to be some meme decks here. People are going to be playing this quite a bit, but I think this tier list is pretty accurate, but you guys should let me know down in the comments what you guys think about it. So, you know, don't forget to like and subscribe, comment down what you guys think, or, you know, make your tier list and send it in the Discord, and we'll take a look at it and talk about it in there. So see you guys next time.